She turned away as Angeline caught each struggling, flapping bird and broke its neck with one quick, strong twist. They harvested birds for the next hour and the next hour until the sun sank low and the remaining birds withdrew to their perches for the night. Then, as Omachias was gathering in and folding Nokomis's net, she noticed one bird was left, struggling hard to free itself. It was a young crow from a late nest. Though it hopped up and down with great energy, it couldn't quite fly. They already had a pile of birds large enough to fill the biggest parching tray, which Angeline had fetched from the camp. Omachias decided to set this last bird free, and she gently undid the basswood fiber twine from a sharp black-clawed foot, its neck, a ragged baby feathered wing. Holding the bird in her hands, she set it on the ground and waited for it to fly off. It sat still. When she tried to shoo it into the air, it only hopped a few steps, dragged a hurt wing. Omachias looked around for a heavy stick to club it, to put it out of its pain, and then something stopped her. She looked down at the bird. It gazed up at her with such a calm, trusting curiosity that it almost seemed to speak aloud. Its round eyes were a deep, milky blue, and it cocked its head sideways, back and forth, to get a good look at Omachias. She looked around to see if Angeline was watching. She wasn't. With a swift movement, Omachias reached down and scooped the bird into the small carrying sack at her waist. It nestled in so silently that she soon forgot all about it. Omachias and Angeline spent what seemed like an endless time plucking the birds, cleaning them, scorching the pin feathers, those just growing in, too tiny to pull off. When the birds were ready to roast, Mama packed them close together along with wild onion bulbs and then pressed rich, stream-bed muck carefully around them. She set them in a pit in the middle of the fire and heaped live coals around the bald mound of mud. As the birds cooked, bits of steam broke through tiny cracks in the mud and scented the air with a delicious fragrance. A few ears of ripe new corn, blueberries, and a strong tea of wintergreen made the rest of the feast. When the birds were done, Mama used a stick to roll the ball of birds from the fire, and then she cracked open the baked mud. Sitting down together around the fire, they ate roasted ears of corn, sweet blueberries, and picked the delicate meat off the tiny bird bones. Each bird was no more than a few mouthfuls, hot, tasty, and spiced with the oniony brown flavor. There was more than enough to fill each person, and they were all satisfied. "These are my daughters," said Day proudly. "Not only did they save the corn today, but they caught and plucked our dinner. They are hunters." He took his pipe from its bag to smoke it in their honor, and each girl felt a warm, proud sensation. They leaned back a little, looking into the fire, and Nokomis also took out her woman's pipe. She filled the bowl with kinnick, tamped her pipe carefully, and lit it with a glowing stick. Omachias wanted to ask her for a story, but she knew that her Nokomis always refused, no matter how hard they begged, until the last frog was safely sleeping in the ground. Day, with his half-white blood, could often be persuaded because the stories he told were different from Nokomis's. Hers were Edisukan stories, meant only for winter. Day usually talked about his travels, the places he'd seen and the people, the close calls and momentous encounters with animals, weather, other Anishinabeg, and best of all, ghosts. After he'd smoked his pipe, at Angeline's request, Day spoke.